everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. And the topic of the day, I'll tell you, listen, I just mentioned it, but it is a very busy time in the world of college football if you love this sport, which is kind of crazy, right? Because there's no games going on. But with the season over, till still 2-3 weeks away from bowl games, we obviously have the ramp up to the college football playoff and bowl games. We have the portal opening up. We have high school national signing day in mid-December. So it's all kind of coming at us at once. But here's the other thing that's going to happen over these next 2-3 weeks that I just don't think a lot of people are really even thinking about. We are going to get announcements from a lot of kids on their NFL futures. Are they going to stay? Are they going to go pro? We heard this week Caleb Williams is not going to play in the Holiday Bowl. I think we know what that means. But we also heard Barrett Carter, a superstar linebacker from Clemson, will come back for another year. So I bring it up because these announcements are going to start to come out over the next couple weeks. And we got a very spicy meatball as far as just a narrative, a storyline, and a possibility on a player who could return to college football next year. It is none other than Marvin Harrison Jr., superstar wide receiver, The Ohio State University. There are whispers that because of NIL and because of a number of other factors, he could actually come back next year. But here's the crazy part. It's not just whispers. It's not just rumors. He was actually asked about it on Thursday and didn't really deny that he is seriously thinking about coming back. So Marvin Harrison Jr., he is a Heisman finalist. He is in New York. He is doing the media rounds, and he was asked about his future. In New York, here is what Marvin Harrison Jr. did have to say about his future as an Ohio State Buckeye. This is what he said. He said, coming into the year, I wanted to beat the team up north, that's obviously Michigan, and win a Big Ten championship. And obviously, I did not do that this year. So I think there's great motive to come back if that's what I decide to do. That's something I definitely want to do in my Ohio State career, and not having done that yet definitely opens the door for me to come back, but I'm undecided. Really just taking it day by day at this time. All right, so I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're thinking, Torres, oh, why are you leading? That's not really a statement. He didn't really say he's coming back. He just said that he's still thinking about it, and you can think about a lot of things, but the reality is there is no way that he is coming back. Well, I bring it up because on top of the Marvin Harrison Jr. quotes, there are multiple reports out there, not anything super duper credible, but enough whispers that make you think that Ohio State could put together what might be, we don't know, a historic type NIL deal that would pay him commensurate with what he would make as a rookie next year in the NFL, and that Marvin Harrison wants to come back, Marvin Harrison Jr., of course, and that Ohio State is going to compensate him financially as such, and that it's at least a possibility that he's going to come back. Now, to be clear, it is late December 7th, early December 8th as I'm recording here. Do I actually think Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming back? I do not. I want to make that abundantly clear. But do I think it's at least a possibility? Do I think it's more than 0.0000000 more zeros than you can count percent? I do. So let's dive in. Let's talk about it. And let me just, let's get to the elephant in the room. The reality is, again, as I just said, realistically, this probably is not happening, even if Marvin Harrison Jr. wants to come back. Even if Ohio State puts together the best NIL package in the history of college football, it still really isn't commensurate with what he will make as an NFL rookie on an NFL contract. Because I think there's this thought, well, if you're a rookie and you make this much money, blah, 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 Ohio State gives him a lot of money. I'm just going to throw out a number. I'm not speculating. But even if it's $3, $4, $5 million a year, well, that's basically an NFL rookie salary. So, why wouldn't he come back if he really wants to? Well, I don't think that's really fair to compare an NFL rookie contract with 1 year of NIL. Because first of all, NFL rookies that get drafted as high as he will make a lot more money than even probably the biggest NIL package that we've ever seen. Okay. So just for fun, I looked it up. I think most mock drafts, he'll be the first wide receiver off the board, maybe the number 3 pick overall. Probably won't go ahead of Caleb Williams, probably won't go ahead of Drake May, but number 3 is absolutely in the cards. So I went ahead and looked it up just to see what the number 3 pick last year's draft, Anthony Richardson, made as an NFL rookie this year. Well, Anthony Richardson is set to make $8 million this year as an NFL rookie. So if we're just talking about baseline salary, that's it. Ohio State would to match or exceed what Marvin Harrison Jr. will likely make as an NFL rookie. We're talking about $8+ million next year. So again, I just don't think it's realistic. And really that $8 million just really scratches the surface of what Marvin Harrison would make by going pro this winter. Because the bottom line, one, it's $8 million a year on a 4-year fully guaranteed contract. So Anthony Richardson is going to make $32 million over the totality of that entire rookie deal. That's important to note. It's not just a 1-year thing. To come to Ohio State, even if they give you an insane amount of money, it's 1 year. Well, an NFL rookie contract is 4 years, fully guaranteed if you're a first-round pick, which he will be. So there's that fact. There's the factor that NIL is supposed to be endorsement-type money. This is a baseline salary we're talking about in the NFL, so he can still go make more money from endorsements. And then this is an important part. It slows down the clock to get to the second contract where you make the life-changing money that sets up your children and your children's children if you're lucky enough. And so all of those factors probably lead to the reality that while Marvin Harrison is feeling some emotion, is bummed about how the season ended, I still just don't think it's realistic that he's going to come back. But I would not be talking about this if it was 0.0000000%. And so let's get into why it's at least possible that I think he could. One, I think it's at least possible because he literally said it. He told you legacy matters to him. In that quote, he said, coming into the year, I wanted to beat the team up north, win a Big Ten championship. I did not do that this year. So I think there's great motive to come back if that's what I decide to do. That's something I definitely want to do in my Ohio State career, and not having done that definitely opens up the door for me to come back. So one, listen, I know that we all think of these athletes as these whatever, not even human beings with human emotions. They go, they play, they make a lot of money, they have a great life, whatever. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is a human. And one thing, I'm not claiming I know him. I don't think I've even been in a room with him. I can't remember any instance where I would have been interviewing him or even in a media availability with him. But I bring it up because think about Marvin Harrison Jr. And this is through no fault of his own, because Marvin Harrison Jr. is a special talent. But if he declares for the NFL draft tomorrow, this is his Ohio State legacy. Again, not his fault, not blaming him, but his Ohio State legacy would be as follows: 0 wins over Michigan, 0 Big Ten championships, 1 playoff appearance where, unfortunately, and this is the saddest part of all of it, Georgia had no answer for him, and Ohio State probably wins until there was some would say, cheap shot. He goes down, he goes out of the game. The rest, unfortunately, is history. And so I do think that is a human emotion. Do I want to leave this place? Listen, there's been a million great Buckeyes before me, and there will be a million great Buckeyes after me. But the way that I get remembered is by doing legendary things. I have legendary highlights, but I haven't done anything legendary yet. Again, not his fault. I blame the coaching staff. I blame the quarterback play in some instances. I don't blame Marvin Harrison because, God forbid he hasn't beaten Michigan. But that is a reality. I think the other thing that's important, and this I do think factors in, you're coming back to a situation where, let's be honest, it's not as though you ain't going to have a chance next year. And as a matter of fact, I'll say this. I have been very critical of Ryan Day through the years. Very critical of Ryan Day. But what I will say, and I truly believe it this time, I think he is gearing the you-know-what up for next year, okay? This year, Kyle McCord, I thought he took too much of the blame for Ohio State's struggles, but look at where Ohio State could be next year. One, it appears as though Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator, is going to be back. Now, I was critical of Jim Knowles after the Michigan game. They didn't do enough. couldn't get the stop that they needed to, 7 minutes off the clock, 13-play drive in the fourth quarter when he needed to get them off the field. But he's still an elite defensive coordinator, and as long as he's there, Ohio State's going to have an elite defense. 2, the reports are that Trayon Henderson, the star running back who has been banged up each of the last 2 years, you feel bad for him, that he's got a very similar NIL setup and that he too could return next year. He's a little bit different. I think his draft stock isn't quite, it's certainly not top 5, but he's in a situation where he's been banged up. You want to put good film out there. And so Trayon Henderson could come back. So great defense, great run game. And then, oh, by the way, I just said it, Kyle McCord, I thought he took too many bullets for the entire team's downfall this year. But at the same time, there will be an upgraded quarterback. Now, the buzz coming out of Ohio State is that Cam Ward, the kid from Washington State, is the favorite to end up getting, being brought in. And at that point, he would be the favorite to win the job. I think even Ohio State fans have more confidence in Devin Brown, this year's backup, than they would in returning Kyle McCord. So I just bring it up because you bring in Cam Ward. You're talking about a kid that just finished 2 years at Washington State, 7,000 yards passing over the last 2 years. Now you put him at Ohio State with an elite run game. They're going to have an elite passing game, elite wide receiver core with or without Marvin Harrison. But you add Marvin Harrison to that, oh, it's game on. I've been a critic of Ryan Day, and that is a squad right there. I think lastly, as I think about this Marvin Harrison possibility, Marvin Harrison Jr. possibility, I do think it's important to note who his pops is, right? Marvin Harrison Sr., NFL legend, Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James. We all remember those Colts teams, Dallas Clark, Jeff Saturday, whatever. Well, a couple things stand out. One, if you listen to the people that believe that there's a possibility that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to come back, one, they say that the Big Ten championship game really, really, really kind of eats away at them. Because it's not just about winning a Big Ten championship. Where do they play the Big Ten title game every single year? In Indianapolis, in a stadium where Marvin Harrison Sr. was a legend. Now, I know he didn't play his whole career there, but the point is the city his dad played, the city where his dad is a legend, he wants to create his own legacy in Indianapolis as a Big Ten champion. The other thing I think it's at least worth discussing, between the NIL money, which is very real, he's going to be paid very handsomely to come back if he decides to. He's also in the unique spot of, I don't want to speak for anybody's finances, and I'm not here to tell him to turn down the NFL. But my guess is probably financially his family is, I would assume, in pretty good shape. Looked it up. Marvin Harrison Sr. made $70 million over the course of his career. Not here to say what somebody should do with their money. Not here to say that Marvin Harrison Jr. lived a lavish, easy life because his dad was an NFL star. The exact opposite. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a worker, maybe the hardest worker at Ohio State from people that I know there. But I bring it up because it's not as though you know the narratives, right? That he's got to do it for his family. He's got to do it for this. He's got to do it for that. And it's not like even in the pre-NIL era that we didn't see guys come back and turn down millions. Matt Leinart did it. Andrew Luck did it. It's funny. I was thinking back. I remember interviewing Ed Reed about 5-6 years ago. The legend, the Hall of Famer. He was an All-American as a senior, or really as a fourth-year junior at Miami. And he came back as a fifth-year senior, like 22 years old, when he would have been a top 10 pick. And I asked him, I said, did you think about leaving? I mean, fourth-year player, 21, 22 years old, your clock's ticking. He said, no. He said, I came to Miami to leave a legacy. I came to Miami to win a national championship. We had not done that at the end of my junior year. Comes back. He's the most important player on the 2001 team that goes 12-0 and wins a national championship. And so I'm not saying, Marvin Harrison is Ed Reed. I'm just saying that there are a lot of factors at play besides the dollars and cents.